This motor is so dirty. I don't even know.
Get her walking like a little gremlin.
We're gonna die.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Josh at Good Times Garage. This is the fourth and final episode of the $30 race mower build. We got so much done in the previous episode. The rear of the body's been cut and mounted. Seat's been mounted. Wheels and tires are on. It's a rolling chassis. Transaxle's done. The diff has been welded. The console's on. The steering's on. The steering linkage is mocked up. I got a game plan to wrap this thing up. Let me show you what it is. All right, we got the engine and the pulleys for the transaxle, steering, finish up some welding on the mower. We need a brake and a shift lever on that right-hand side. I got to install a gas pedal and then the hood and the batteries. There's a few more odds and ends, but this is the gist of it. This is what's keeping us from running and driving this mower. Let's get to it. I think we're going to knock out the steering first. It's one of the main things that's holding us back. In the last episode, we mocked it up, and while it does work, and I'm happy with the solution, the problem is some of these bars just need to be replaced. It sits way too low to the ground as it is, and most of these bars hit the ground as you try to roll it. I'm going to bend some of these up, cut them, put some new flat bar here, and try to get this front end where it'll steer and actually go down the road. Just got done with the steering for the front. I took this piece off and flattened it on an anvil. I cut this little gusset on the bottom of the steering arm and re-welded it. That way we'd have a little bit more clearance. So it's no longer an issue. I just had it on the ground. We have full mobility left and right now. And I think the next thing on our list we're going to knock off is, let's see, no more steering. Let's get the engine on and see if we can get that pulley to fit through that surface. I got the engine sitting up here on this crate, and I went ahead and drained the oil out. That way I don't have to worry about it. One of the issues I'm having is I'm not sure how this pulley comes off of here. There's no bolt, but regardless, that shaft's going to be too long to stick into that mower. We also have this steering linkage that we got to kind of go around, so I think I'm just going to cut it. I think I'm just going to cut it like right here, and hopefully this whole thing will just slide off and it will reveal the true shaft. Alright, sure enough, that thing was hollow, so that clearly slides over the true shaft. Now I just got to figure out a way to get this pulley off. It's kind of rust welded on there. Well, I was going to beat on this thing and try to take it off or try to make some a puller for this pulley. But when I cleaned out this hole, I looked down inside of it, there is a socket, or sorry, there's a bolt. So it's a 5/8, so this should just come right out now. Okay, the bolt's out, but this is still rusted on. So now we do got a beat on it. Maybe this will work. Okay. Maybe I heat it up and then we try to hit it with a hammer. Man, this thing is seized on, like hardcore seized on. I'm gonna try to heat it up for a minute. I took a hammer to it, a little mini sledge, and it's not even moving. Maybe some heat will help some things release. I wanted to show you guys real quick. I've tried to use pry bars. I've heated this thing up. I found a young man on YouTube. He goes by the name of Lawnmower Care. I'll put his link down in the description. I thought this was a great idea. You basically put a C-clamp here and you tighten it up and it pulls it off if it's stuck. I can see this working on a lot of mowers that haven't had this much rust on it. Unfortunately, it didn't rust on this. All it did was clamp my pulley together, and I mean, I was cranking on it. I even had like a longer pry bar attached to this C-clamp. I think the next course of action is just to cut it down a little bit with a grinder and maybe get a pry bar in between it or a screwdriver and just split the casing that's around the shaft. All right, ladies and gents, we're down to the last option, which is cut this thing off. I mean, that thing's about to snap loose. Man, I've been beating and grinding on this thing for a minute, and I think it's finally loose. Oh, Oh, it's definitely loose. Oh. Woo. All right. Let me clean that off. Let's see if this pulley even fits. All right, I got the pulley off that shaft finally with that grinder, so that's good. Here's the new pulley. This is a 10-inch, and there's the old one. This is probably like a 5 because it's so deep. So we're going about 5 more inches over this, so it should make it pretty fast. The transaxle pulley that we have to put on the rear is a 2-inch, so we're going 10 to 2, and by all accounts, that should be pretty fast. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this engine on here now. The hardest part about this engine, I think, is gonna be clearancing the tie rods and the steering linkage. This motor is so dirty, and you know, I really thought about cleaning it up. But part of this build, I really wanted to show that you really can take a $30 mower and make it into something really cool. So I've been hesitant to kind of do too much cleaning on it. I really want to show the rat roddy look of the mower. All right, I got the mower all the way on. It's bolted up. Let me show you underneath the mower. Look how big that pulley is. Look how small that pulley is back there. This right here is the clutch, so that'd be the pulley. So it's like a 2.5, and then we got a 10. Everything just barely clears, so it's gonna work. We got to get a belt tomorrow. I'm gonna work on getting this engine started. I got a new starter with a steel tooth gear, and we're gonna spray some gas down in that carb and get it running. Okay, so the key wouldn't turn at all, so I took this piece out, just this little electrical piece, and I sprayed some WD-40 in it. Tried to dry it out the best I could, but at least now it turns. I have the original wiring harness for this mower, although it's a complete joke. You can tell it's been messed with like 100 times. Look at this wiring harness. Look at this thing. Like, I don't even know. So basically all I need this thing to do is turn the key. So I'm gonna look up a wiring diagram real quick, and I got some new wire. I'm not gonna use this old stuff that came with it. And I'm just gonna wire up the starter to the key, to the motor, put a ground on everything, and then we should be good to go and test fire the starter. I really want to get the starter to work, obviously. Worst case scenario, like I said, we can just put a drill on that thing and see if we can kick the motor over. But let's see if we can get the starter going first. All right, let me show you guys the nightmare that was last night, me trying to get this starter and ignition wired up, because it turned into it's not good. Let me just show you. I disassembled basically the complete wiring harness. I've got wires everywhere. There's tape everywhere. At the end of the day, I couldn't get this to work, and I'm not sure if because the starter solenoid is bad or if the ignition switch that's, 35 years old is bad. So what I've done is I went ahead and ordered a new starter solenoid, a new ignition. I did hook this up straight to 12 volt, and it kicked on, so that's good. I tried to start the mower with a drill. Unfortunately, I only have an impact drill, and it just won't kick the thing over. It clicks, and then the impact drill wants to stop. So not a big issue. We're just going to move on to another solution, or we're going to fix another problem with the mower until my starter solenoid and ignition gets here. We're going to leave engine and pulleys on here because we're going to come back to that. I did finish up the welding on the front control arms, so we're going to be done with this. And I think right now we might want to work on... I kind of really want to do the hood and the battery box. So let's do the hood and the battery box, and then we'll do gas pedal and brake and shift. Let's get it. So the hood, we're trying to mount the hood up. I don't want to cut any length off the hood. I want to be able to use the original brackets for the sides. So because we moved the control arms up to the frame, we're going to cut the front mounts on the hood so the hood sits back over top of the control arms and it mounts up and looks like it was originally intended to. That's the look we're going for. So now I'm going to cut it.
Like that?
Get her walking like a little gremlin. Get her walking like a little gremlin.
Okay, I kind of marked up where we're going to cut it, so we're just going to wing it and get it on the mower. And if we need to cut more, we'll cut more. So we're going to cut less now so we don't make a big mistake.
All right, so Josh cut those pieces off. We're looking at it. I think we're gonna do a bracket coming right here. We're gonna bring it about this far, throw a bolt through it, and then knock off this point. So when you pull the hood up, it doesn't catch on this little point right here. Other than that, that thing's going to be sweet. And we got to knock that dent out too. That'll be easy though. Chop, chop.
All right, now we got 2 brackets. So we'll mount these up, tack weld them on, and then we'll drill the 2 holes we need to attach the front so the hood will still pivot. We're gonna tack up the brackets and mount the front. We're just trying to get that perfect.
Literally on the bottom of that thing, you know?
Yeah, that's,
And then put the bolt hole at the end of it.
yeah,
That way it comes up.
yep. We don't need a big bolt. We need a 1/4 inch bolt, and we
bolt.
should be fine.
You have a little clamp? Yes. Yes. Okay.
That's perfect, dude.
Yeah, I'll just fill that in just
That's
a little bit.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Don't lie, buddy.
All right, guys. This is where we're at. We tacked our brackets on. We have a little bracket right here. Cut a hole. Put a bolt through it. Both sides. So now the hood latch is here. Pop it off. Boom. Perfect. So the little brackets work. They're filling them welds. And we should be good. Maybe put a stopper, maybe some cable to stop it from going all the way down. Other than that, I think the hood's on. This is what Josh does. You guys think Josh builds the mowers? He's eating hot dogs. This is his house, but this is my garage. I think next step is try to straighten up this body a little bit. Me and Josh been looking at this dent for a while and it's getting annoying. I think it's time to knock this thing out. Might have to heat it up. It'd be nice to just have this flat. And then there's one more on the back. Not as big as the front one, but you can see it. It's just imperfect. When you go putting them fenders on later on down the road, you're going to want this all straight and looking good. We're going to try to get that knocked out, get this hood pulled off, and knock that thing out.
I think you might be better off literally getting that dead blow hammer and just smacking the hell out of it. Oh yeah. Matt, I think you just...
Holy fish! My wizard!
Let's look at the front.
Wow!
Much better. Look at that.
Wow!
Good job, man. Good job.
So, this is a mock-up battery. Josh had a pretty good spot for it. Literally right there. It doesn't affect anything. Steering's fine. Everything's going to be perfect. He smacked down some metal that was holding it up. So, it's flat now. Put some angle iron right here just to hold this battery in. That way it's not sloshed around when you're riding. And we'll see how it works.
Street machine. You're not going to worry about the battery bouncing around.
Yeah.
You know, see what I'm saying? Like, as long as it stays in place and doesn't run into the slot.
I tested it. It's good.
It's fine.
He welded one time. Well, frick. I don't know what to put this at.
We probably honestly shouldn't weld around that battery now that I think about it. Can you pull the battery out without moving that thing? Give it one tack and then we'll move the battery.
Can I put this here?
We'll find out.
I used to be a mutant.
Ready? If this explodes, we're gonna die.
You ready, man?
We're live. We're not live.
No, we need ground. Yeah. Alright, move the battery. Looks good. Alright, battery's done. Battery box done, hood is on. We're not going to cut any of the inner of the hood or the front because, to be quite honest, this is going to be a street machine anyways. And with a street machine, you really don't need that much turning. We're gonna leave it like that. Here's how the hood works. We got these clamps on the side. So you undo that, the hood pivots forward like normal. We welded up these brackets on both sides, so the brackets are done, and then the back is the battery box. It's perfect. So, we done. All right, we're done with the hood and the battery box, and now we're on to we're gonna do the brake and the shift lever. Gas pedals last when we do the engine and the pulleys. We have this hole in the side of the body that's not being used for anything. We're gonna take the drum brake lever and make it right here, and we're also gonna extend the shifting point from the transaxle here too. So you'll have shifting and brake on one side of the mower. We have a mock-up idea how we're gonna do this, so I'm gonna get to cutting. I thought about trying to how to explain that, but there's no way. So as I cut, you'll kind of see how it comes together. Okay, so we went ahead and took the body back off the mower, and in order to do this, it was just going to make it a little easier. So we're going to tack weld this bracket on, and this is what's going to give us our pivot point. And this point will allow us to basically install our shifter and our brake lever. That looks all right.
That looks great.
I think now while we have it like this, we drill the holes.
Yeah.
Oh, the drill's hitting this. That's actually a big problem. Look, I mean, because it's gonna come in like this and end up doing this. How do I fix that? How do I punch a hole in that? How do I cut a hole in that?
How strong?
I jinxed us.
How strong is your
We
finger?
have every tool that we need to do this, and I jinxed us. And it's the one thing I don't fucking have.
What's your thought process?
Well, I thought maybe we could use a Dremel because the handle is not as big, but that Dremel doesn't have a big enough a bit. I don't know, man. I really don't.
You know, am I right?
Tell them what you said again.
Okay, I'm thinking, but we don't have any way to. Here, let me just explain it.
Well, we kind of messed up. We shouldn't have welded these on as hardcore before we thought about this, but I can't get the drill flat because it's hitting this. So the next best option, I think, because we don't have a plasma cutter, is we turn the amperage all the way up on that welder and we burn 4 holes in the middle, and we pray that works.
If not that, then we're cutting them back off and then drilling holes and then weld them back on.
Which is going to look sloppy because there's no way to make it look as good as it does now. If this doesn't work, we're in the same boat because you can't see. You won't be able to see it from underneath. Do you understand what I mean? Like if this doesn't work and it just makes it ugly, no big deal. It's underneath the mower. All right, I'm going to do it.
Max power.
Max power, baby.
New plasma cutter.
Can't afford one. That's how you do it. If this works,
We have a plasma cutter.
we have a plasma cutter. If this doesn't work, the internet will tell us we were wrong.
Oh, frick, that's actually good.
That's it. I think that rod will fit. Dude, that's working.
Dude.
Okay, so that actually did work. We cranked the amperage up and we turned the wire speed down, and it did really burn holes through it. It looks like shit. Don't worry, you're not gonna be able to see it from underneath the mower anyways. So this freely rotates like we wanted it to. The problem is about halfway through doing the last hole, we had like a major arc flash. I don't know what to call it. Something happened. The end of the welder got like jammed up, and then over here, this whole piece that feeds the wire and the gas to the tip of the welder blew out. The wire was like glowing red hot. Something, I don't know what it was. Something floated over here. We were really messing with something that almost went really wrong. So we got it. We're gonna move on to the next step, which is cutting this rod so we can cap the end two pieces, and then these will rotate freely, and that's what our shift lever and our brake lever is gonna attach to. But we almost didn't make it, so we're gonna keep going. So we did survive the night before, and we got done with our mounting solution for our shift and our brake lever. This is what it looks like from the front of the mower. These rotate freely, so these spin. And the idea is, the levers are going to stick out like this. They're going to be welded onto each piece so they move independently. And I'll show you what it looks like from the back. All right, here's the underside. We just cut those rods and I welded some nuts on the end so they basically rotate freely. Problem I'm running into, this bracket which I've built is what I want to use to shift the mower with. It needs to reach this bolt underneath the transaxle in order to shift the mower, you know, all through 6 gears in reverse. I got to find a way to make this longer basically and maybe build a bracket on the bottom of the mower here so I can still disassemble everything in the future, because that's going to be key. If anything breaks, I want to be able to take it back apart. Old magnet trick, that way I can reach up in there and place it where I want. See if it'll fit. Alright, looks like we're like maybe a 1/4 inch too long. Alright guys, the math wasn't mathing. I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but that totally did not work. Let me show you what I did. Alright, this was going to be the lever from the shifting lever, and this was going to come on down to the transaxle, but as you can see, as one turns, the other turns like a crooked way. I don't know why I wasn't thinking that through. Anyways, I got this long straight shaft. This was how you originally raised and lowered the deck, so I'm going to put this right here. That way it'll be a single straight. And that'll still allow me to make a lever from there to the actual shift lever. The hole's drilled out. I got the rod through it, it fits. I put a big nut on the end. I'm going to tack weld that nut on there, and then this rod won't be able to come out. On this end, it'll go through the other bracket that I built for the transaxle. Alright guys, we're underneath the mower now. This is the transaxle. Here's the shifting point for the transaxle, and here's that rod I just installed. It's installed with a nut on the end I just welded, so it's removable, so we can still take this thing apart. I'm going to build a rod that comes down, a little bracket, and then connects to this shifter linkage so we can shift through all 6 gears, neutral and reverse. Alright, I got her all tacked up. I think this will work really good for coming down off of that shifting point to connect to the transaxle, but it's not flat. So I got my little anvil here, and I'm going to pound it out and hopefully flatten it out. I bought this anvil last year from the highway sale. It's an old railroad tie. This older gentleman was selling it for 30 bucks, and I really needed an anvil, and you can't really get one here in the States for probably under like 300 bucks for like a Harbor Freight one. I think even Harbor Freight ones are more expensive now, but like a used old anvil, man, not only do they weigh like a metric ton, but they're very expensive. All right, there we are. She's flat enough for what I'm going to use it for, and this is a good trick if you can't get a big anvil. All right, so I got the transaxle linkage mocked up the way I want it. It's close to about 100%. I'm going to work on the shifter right now because I kind of need that to know how far the shift linkage bracket needs to be and whatnot. And I'm thinking, I mean, my leg goes right here, so it kind of needs to come out. I'm going to try to heat this thing up at a few different points and bend it and kind of come over and out and kind of get it out of my way, because at the same time my brake lever has to go here also. All right, I got the first bend in the shifter right now. I mocked up this little rig, that way I could get the second bend in. I'm going to heat this up till it's almost glowing hot. The table idea worked out pretty good, but I think sticking it in that anvil and kind of stepping on the anvil and torquing it down is my best option again. So I'll get you up close. Let's see what it looks like. So I'll let it sit there for probably, I don't know, 5 minutes, and then get to bending. Oh, it bent. It's just not all the way. I threw it in there. Bent up, boys. All right, that's perfect. That gets it up out of my way, lets my foot go over it. And I think I'll put another bend right here and kind of come up. Okay, I'm getting ready to bend this. I set the camera up so hopefully you can see me do all of it at once, because if I can't bend it or I don't get enough of a bend, I want to be able to get it back on the heat as fast as possible. So I'm going to go for it. A little bit more. Alright. I think that's gonna work. Oh, I'd like to get a little bit more of a bend in it. I think I'm gonna have to heat it back up though. Careful. It might be like liquid fire hot.
3 seconds in a meeting in the garage.
Alright.
Okay.
What's the best way to do this?
You want me to hold the anvil still?
Don't touch it. Yeah. Maybe try to help me hold the anvil down.
Yeah, I'll hold it.
Oh.
Yeah, you meant it. Good job.
Let me look at it real quick. Oh, that's perfect.
You don't want to bend it just slightly more?
No, that's exactly what I wanted.
You sure?
Yeah, because it comes out, my leg can go there, and then it comes up out of the way.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Here are your gloves, sir.
Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, here's kind of a direct view. So from the front, this old mower, it's so narrow that you have to give your leg basically room in your thigh. So that'll work out perfect. I don't know how high I'm going to keep it, but that's the idea. I'm going to get some welds all the way around it, and then we'll shift through it. So here's underneath the transaxle. Here's the nightmare that I've created. Here's that long rod that I built in. Here's the bracket coming off of it. I cut up a number 8 wrench to use as like the pivot joint. And here's where the transaxle shifts. So go ahead and shift, Hannah. Push forward. Keep going. And that's how it works. So none of the bolts are tightened up right now. Like you can see, this is kind of loose. I'm going to tighten that up now because I'm about to work on the brakes. All right, one more point of view from the top. Here, there's that rod. And then that's how it works. This right here is going to be my brake. So here's the brake drum. I already got the brake line in it. And then the brake line just attaches down here. I'm going to do that by attaching another lever and then attaching this wire to it. So when I pull on that lever, it shuts these brakes. So let's get to building another shift lever. Okay, we're about to bend the brake lever. It's been heating up for probably 5 minutes. And we're trying to get the same bend, the same angle of bend that we have on the shift lever. So I'm really just going to eyeball it. I don't have any tools to measure this out the proper way. So we're just going to give it a little bit, try not to go too far. And if we need to give it more, then we'll just give it more. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let me push this through a little
Sure.
bit.
Tell me where you want it. You want there?
Yeah, you ready?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let me go look at it.
That sounds weird.
I couldn't have done that better. Curves match, looks good. The brake lever, I'm going to chop it right here because it doesn't need to go up all the way. I just want to be able to reach down and hit the brake. Hopefully this is on video. Can't tell if it's recording. I'll slide the brake line through there. These gloves are too big, but there you go. That's what will clamp my brake line down. All right, we got the brake lever bent, heated up and bent it, and I created a point to attach the brake line to the bottom of the lever. And let me show you what that looks like real quick. So I took this bolt and I cut a slit down the middle. So now the brake line, I'll slide it in, and then you just put this nut on, and that's what holds the brake line on. However, right now, if you pull this back, it's going to tighten up the drum brake, which is what we want. But there's nothing to pull the lever back in place. So I'm going to go find a spring and attach a spring here, probably to like right here. That way, when I pull back, it'll automatically pull itself back forward. That way I can get off the brakes. We do have 2 of Matt's springs, so Matt might not know that I'm taking it until the video. But he'll find out that the spring is gone when he goes to do his mower. And this might still be a little too long. Okay, so we are going to use the spring. I don't have another spring in here. I'm going to make this work. It's a little stiff, but that might be a good thing in the long run. I'm not sure. I've never done this. And I believe what I'm going to do is, if this is the bottom of the bolt, basically this will go down here. And I'm going to attach the spring to a nut that I'm going to weld onto the frame right there. So the spring will just go through the nut. That way, whenever you pull this lever, it pulls on the spring and it pulls the lever back into place. All right, she's on there. All right, I think we're ready to attach the brake cable. First, we need to make sure the brake cable is where we want it, which is extremely difficult, but we're going to wing it because that's what we do. So I'm pulling the wire through that slot that I cut, and I made sure the drum is tight when I did that. So that means, oh, literally, you can see it working there. So that's closing the drum. That's full brakes right there. And now it's time to get the spring on, which we found a nut that works the exact, that fits on the same bolt. Found it. So now we should be able to slide this on the end. Well, there's not a lot of room there. You see that? Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely not going to work. All right.
What if you put a washer here and then put the hook underneath of it and then squished everything up with the bolt? So the washer keeps the line tight in place.
I think you're right. I think I'm overthinking it, and I think that's actually the solution.
It might be.
I wanted 2 bolts that way. If like I need to just take the spring off, I can. But I think at this point, that's the correct path. Okay. The original wire was too short. After 45 minutes of trying to get a wire out of this piece of tubing, we're going to move on to finishing this up now. It's done. All right, look at, like, it actually works really good. Look at this. So that's full on. It's really like full on brake right there. And then if everything goes wrong, you can slam it back. And now it's pulling itself forward, which is what we want. But we don't want it to go all the way forward. So we're going to create a stop where it can't actually pull itself any more forward than maybe like right there, which is like full loose. So now we got to figure out a way to create a stopping point for the front of it, which means we're still doing the brakes, unfortunately. So let's figure that out now. See, I don't know how to do anything, so I just kind of wing it. And if it breaks, I'll Google it. If it doesn't break, I go, all right, keep moving forward. And I think this just, I think it just pulls off. So we know it's perfect because there's no tension on the drum. So can you see this from the side? I don't know if the camera's getting it. So there's no tension on the drum. There's a gap there. So that's with the lever fully rested. If we pull it back, it's fully closed on the drum. And if we let go, the spring pulls it forward, and our stop stops it from moving any forward and all that goodness. So I'm going to finish welding this up. All right, so that's cut. We can shift through all the gears. And now we got an e-brake. How hot is that? It's pretty hot. Dude, that actually works because there's less weight on it now. Look. Brake, no brake, brake. Money. Okay, let me erase my drawing of trying to explain something to Matt. And this is where we're at. The brake and the shift lever are finally done. So, we're done. And before we put the gas pedal on, the engine needs to run, or the gas pedal's kind of redundant. Let's put the engine on, or the engine's already on. Let's get the engine running, because the pulleys for the transaxle are already on it. So we're down to just engine and gas pedal, baby. First things first, off camera, look what I found. I think this was to the original mower deck. It's how you raised and lowered the deck. And it's threaded, which I can just thread this if I wanted to, but honestly, I might just shove it on there with some heat so it never comes off. And then boom, I got my e-brake. So that'll work perfect. This is episode 4. We still have not fired this engine on this $30 mower. I still don't know if it runs. If we're quiet and I turn it over, you can hear that it has compression. So let's give that a listen. There's no reason it shouldn't run. When we got it, the starter wasn't missing. Tried to buy a starter. It was plastic tooth. Bought a new starter. It's steel tooth. Last episode, I thought we were going to get it running. Multiple issues took place, one of which was the ignition. It was so rusted out that I WD-40'd it to get the key to turn. Not sure if the ignition was the problem or the original starter solenoid, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get power to the starter unless I took the starter and directly hooked it up to the 12-volt battery. And I didn't want to do that to start the motor. I kind of want to start the motor with the key. I kind of want it to be one finished thing, and that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to install the new ignition, install the new starter solenoid, hook all this up to the battery, spend 45 minutes on Google to look up a wiring diagram because I have no clue how this works at all. And then we will come back to you and I'll start this engine. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
So I'm going to take all this off. And one day when this channel gets big, I'll sell this key ignition on YouTube or on eBay for a lot of money. And I'll be rich. And no one will stop me from buying all the fucking mowers in Kentucky. So I tried to get an ignition that was as close to the old one as possible because I don't want it to look bad. And we ran into our first problem. That hole is too small for this. So we're going to drill that hole out. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's pretty close. That'll be a snug fit. So we're going to hook this up and use this wood bit to cut through metal. I don't know how good this is going to work. It's not going to stop me from doing it. I don't even know if this is going to work.
We're going to try it anyway.
I'm just saying, it's a wood bit. Oh, here we go. Do you see the plan?
Mm-hmm.
You see the problem? Maybe I'll just wing
I think
it.
it broke the teeth off, but keep going.
Did it really?
I think so.
We're just gonna, this is what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna send it. I'm just gonna send it. And if it's not properly aligned, I'm gonna hide it with a bunch of washers and no one's gonna know unless they watch this video. Horrible idea. This is not working at all. I've just completely f***ed up the front of the mower. I don't even know what to think about what I've just done.
Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Money. It's gonna work. And I'm gonna find washers and no one's gonna know I did this. How do I cover up my mistake? What do I have? How do I hide what I've done? There's the springs I needed years ago. You know, I don't have anything. This is what I'm thinking now.
Okay.
I'll cover up my mistake with black marker. All right, so this new ignition switch is a 4-prong terminal, which means that, one, I'm going to have to look up the wiring diagram for it. But I think what happens here is, again, one goes to the battery, one goes to the starter solenoid, one goes to the magneto. That's how this basically works. Each ignition is going to be different depending on your mower. You just got to find one that's going to work for you. Some people might want to run headlights, some people aren't. Some people might want to run other accessories. That's going to depend on your ignition. So you need to look that up if you're planning on doing this. Okay, ignition's done. New starter solenoid is what's next.
So what are you about to do?
I'm going to cut this bracket. The bracket on the new starter solenoid is just too long. And I'm going to use the original mounting spot for the original starter solenoid. All right, guys, I'm not going to lie. That took an incredibly long time. That was about 2 hours of YouTube research, a lot of Googling, but I finally figured it out. It's wired up. Let me show you exactly what it looks like. The quick rundown is basically, here's our kill switch to our magneto. This is run to the key. That way when you turn the key all the way back, it actually cuts the motor. We have our generator wire to recharge the battery, the wire to the lights. Obviously, this is the power wire to the starter. It goes over to the starter solenoid. The other wire on the starter solenoid that's red goes to the battery. And here we are. We have lights now. So we should have lights. And here's all the ignition wires. It's relatively cleaned up. And when you throw a gas tank on it, you really can't see any of this. So let me show you what that looks like. Here we are with the gas tank. So as you can tell, with the hood popped, you basically see those one set of wires. You see those little blue wires. I think it looks pretty good. Basically had to rewire this whole thing. I went ahead and rewired the lights too. All right, to give you guys a little taste that it works, the only thing we got to do from here on out is install the fuel tank, get some gas in it, get that carburetor cleaned out, and hopefully this thing's about to crank over. So let's set it up. Okay, so I got the carburetor cleaned up. It's on the motor. Let me show you what it looks like up close. So we got our fuel line, our gas tank's in. We already have fuel in it, nothing's leaking. You can see the fuel in the fuel filter. I went ahead and used this original lever for the motor. This is what our choke is connected to. So if you look down in there, this was locked up, but now if I choke it, you can see it fully closes and opens. And it does that by connecting to the original choke lever, which I just think is so cool. You can see it from the front too. So when you go up, choke is actually choke now. And when you let go, that spring, unloads it so it's full butterfly open. I also went ahead and attached a spring to the throttle. So when you throttle it wide open, you let go, it goes back to idle. The throttle's not connected because we have to connect a gas pedal. But this is it. It's really clean now. And I know I've been saying this for a long time. And this is episode 4. This is the final episode. But we're actually finally ready to start this thing. Every time we've tried, it's been a different problem that's stopped us. Every time I go to turn this key, it's been another issue that's resulted in now we have to wait. This is it. Gas is in it and it should fire right up, hopefully. So go down in the comments, hedge your bets, don't skip forward and cheat. 1, is it going to start? 2, is it going to run and idle, or is it just going to die? Let me know down below, and let's get into it. We're going to start this thing up. I'm really excited. Let's go. Okay, last chance to hedge your bets down in the comments. I'm going to spray a lot of this brake cleaner down in there. It's extremely flammable. We're going to leave the butterfly of the choke wide open. We're not going to close it off. And we'll see if this thing starts. Here we are. Oh, I should have kept spraying it. I can't believe it kicked over. There's no gas in it. Are you ready? Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Let's mess with the fuel mixture. Let's make sure it's getting enough gas and air. I believe when I put this screw back in, I might have choked it out. So we'll back that off. I can't believe it's running. All right, now we're going to do some tweaking with this carburetor, get the fuel mixture right. And I don't see why it wouldn't idle. It sounds good, which is amazing, to be honest with you. I don't know how long this thing's not ran, probably 20, 25 years. Let me tweak on this carburetor, see if I can get it to idle, and then I'll be right back. If I do this. Okay, so the problem that we're having is that the choke, when it's closed, is obviously choking out the carburetor and the engine, and when it's open, it's almost too wide open. I'm trying to dial it in by using the fuel mixture screw, which basically mixes the fuel and the gas in the carburetor. I don't seem to have enough movement in that screw, which means one of two things. The choke is bent, which I already know it's bent a little bit because I'm trying to move it and couldn't move it, so I took the carburetor apart. Two, the carburetor gaskets. I could have like an air leak in the gasket or a vacuum leak. And probably three, it's just an old carburetor and these things happen. Like the needle in the carburetor, I couldn't even get that removed. Or I take that back, I got the needle removed, but I couldn't get the jet removed out of the carburetor. That thing could be clogged. The needle spring could be not have as much movement as a fresh new carburetor would. So at this point, I think the only thing stopping this thing from running pretty much flawlessly is the carburetor. And unfortunately, there's only two options. It's either to rebuild it with a rebuild kit, which is a nightmare. No one wants to do that on an old carburetor like this because they only cost about 20 bucks brand new. So more than likely, I'll just throw a $20 carburetor on this and call it done. And I think we're past the engine phase. Actually, I'm going to call it. I know we're past the engine phase. I don't think we should wait on this point because I just have to wait in the mail. So you know what? Engine's done. And we're going to wipe it off the board. We're down to gas pedal. Let me show you what gas pedal that we have. So here's the gas pedal that we have. Made by Speedway Motors, all aluminum. I got this on sale for 30 bucks. You can normally get it for like 60. Purchased this with my own money. Obviously, no one sponsored this. But it's pretty slick. And let me show you where it goes. Obviously, we're going on the right-hand side. I don't know how far up or how far back yet. We're going to figure that out. We're also going to run that throttle cable over to this side of the mower to attach it. And let's get to it and start putting this gas pedal on. All right, guys, I've been out here looking at this gas pedal. I think I found a really good way to mount it. Let me show you what my plan is. Okay, this is with the wheel all the way turned, so we just got to be a little mindful. If we mount this too forward and we push down, we're going to hit the tire, so we're going to have to back it up a bit. The other thing that I'm going to change is pivot this up. So it will kind of sit like that on the mower instead of sitting flush. I've got this skid plate from the front of the mower that I'm not going to use anymore. It's really flat. It's really thick. I'll bolt it to this skid plate, cut out a nice little bracket, and maybe bend something up. That way I can get that angle I was looking for. So it'll sit more like this. All right, guys, if you can see that, that's where I'm going to cut this out. I'm also going to cut out this corner and heat this angle up, or heat this corner up and then bend the angle a little bit sharper. And then I'll just weld this piece to the mower, drill my holes. We should be good. All right, let's cut this thing out. So it fits pretty good. We just got to bend that angle so it doesn't sit flat. It sits more in the angle that I want. All right, guys, went ahead and got the gas pedal on. The bracket is mounted, and off camera, I ran the throttle cable. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, there's your side view of the gas pedal right there. As you can see, we got it mounted to that bracket, so it kind of angles it up. Super solid, and I went ahead and ran my throttle cable. Let me pop the hood and you can see it. Here's the throttle cable. Runs from the back of the gas pedal down to the frame. Runs up to the bottom of the block, and then it's going to attach to the carburetor right here. New carburetor comes in the morning, so I'm going to wait to cut that. In the meantime, check out what I got on Facebook Marketplace. 20 bucks for all these pull balls. So I'm thinking maybe the 15 for a shifter. Kind of matches the paint a little bit. And we'll drill it out, tap it, and get a big shift point. I think that'll be pretty slick looking. And the only other thing I changed with the mower is the wheels for the front. The more and more I got to looking at this, the more I realized it wasn't going to work. While these are 3/4 inch and they did fit the screw that I welded on, the problem is they're just plastic. I can't buy a bearing that small for them, so they basically had to be scrapped. Here's the new idea. It's same size front wheel and tire, except the center hole allows me to push a bearing through it. Now these didn't come like this. They come with a bushing in them that looks like this. And you basically push this bushing out and you can buy some bearings and push in. This is what you want if you're going to run the mower at any type of speed. It also allows me to put 2 nuts on the front of it because it's I forgot what they call this bearing. I'll put it down in the description below, but it basically sticks out a little bit in the middle, so I can put 1 nut. Let me show you. You couldn't do this with the other one. I think it's important. People might run into this problem if you're going to build one yourself. So now that's tight and you have full movement. You could not do that with the plastic bushing. If you did that with the plastic one and you spun it, it would just be incredibly tight. Like it would tighten up so much the wheel wouldn't move. Or on the other side, it would untighten because lefty-loosey and you're going the wrong way and the nut would come off. So my idea is this, and I'm going to throw 2 nuts on here. Tighten the first one up. Not really tight because it's pushing against that bearing, but tight enough where it moves. And then I'm going to squeeze these 2 nuts together. So basically they can never come apart. We don't really have to worry about that with the back end because the back end is basically locked to the axle. So they both move at the same time, the axle and the tire. And we have a cotter pin just in case this ever comes loose. All right, we already did the first wheel that I showed you. Here's the second wheel. And we're just going to push these bushings out and put new bearings in them. All right, so basically how this works is there's just 2 bushings on each side and it's hollow in the middle. We're also going to remove this little grease fitting because we're not going to need grease. These bearings are sealed, so they already have grease in them. And we're just going to push these out. The easiest way to do that is just with a hammer and a screwdriver. All right, there we go. That's what it looks like. So now we'll just go ahead and do this other side. All right, that side's out too. And hopefully the camera's picking that up. As you can see, that little Zerk fitting, we're just going to pull that out. All right, we're not going to need that. And then you get your bearings. Like I said, link down in the description if you guys need these for your mowers. I did 3/4 inch because I feel like that's a good size for the axle in the front. And when you're pressing these in, it's good to get like a socket. You don't want to push the inside of this bearing. Try to focus on the outside only. So we're just going to line it up. Try to get it snug. Get a socket that fits the outside. All right, that took about 10 hits. But as you can see, it's pressed in there really good. It's not going to come out. Still got good movement, no damage or anything like that, and that matters. If you damage it, you'll just have to put another one in. You can get these in like 15 packs for maybe like $10 on Amazon. Now we're just going to push in this other side. All right, that's both sides, so I'm going to set this wheel to the side, and the next thing we're going to work on is making that shifter. All right, I think that's going to be deep enough. That's probably like a full inch, so now we'll tap this out. Shift ball is on. The new carburetor came in the mail. Got the old airbox on it. I got this thing idling. It's all put together. I did have to replace the back tires, unfortunately. The side walls, both tires had holes in them. Basically like 9-inch long gashes, just dry rot. And we're about to take this thing on its first test drive. So wish me luck.
So this one's a little burnt, huh?
Oh, that might have been the transmission. All right, guys. So the mower looks sick. I love the way it turned out. The body looks good. I like the gas pedal. I like the shifter. I like the brake lever. The wheels and tires look great on it now. Unfortunately, I don't know why I can't get this thing to run more than 25 feet. I put it in first gear, like I'll hit the gas, it's in idle, clutch is off, I'll let go, put it in first gear, I'll go about 20 feet, and then the engine just like idles out. I have no clue why. If I don't have it in gear, I can keep the engine running for 45 minutes. The moment I put it in gear, it's like I lose all power. I've messed with this carburetor for like an hour and a half. It's not a carburetor issue. Clearly something's going on with that pulley in the front being a 10 and the one in the back being like a 1.5. Something was going on with it because unfortunately in the process of trying to get this thing to run today, I just blew up the transaxle. So I felt something underneath the seat kind of kicking me, and if you look in here, I mean, you can see it's cracked. It's busted all the way back in there. I don't know. So the transaxle's destroyed, which sucks because I really wanted this thing to be able to shift. So if you guys know what was going on there, please tell me. I'd love to know. Leave a comment. I'd really like to understand maybe what was causing that issue before I replace it with the same transaxle, or maybe I'll just do a straight axle in the future. So it's you know, it'll be back. We're gonna fix this mower. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and peace.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school.